What if everything you've ever wanted became the very thing that slowly took pieces of you away? Imagine growing up with the whole world watching your every move, judging every change, and deciding who you are before you've even figured it out yourself. This is not just a story about fame, beauty, or money. This is a story about what it costs emotionally to become Kylie Jenner, and why that cost is far higher than most people realize. As you listen, ask yourself one question: would you really trade your inner peace for unlimited attention? Kylie Jenner didn't slowly step into fame. She was born into it. While most teenagers experiment with identity in private, Kylie did it in front of millions. Every phase, every insecurity, every transformation was documented, replayed, and dissected by strangers. And when you grow up like that, something subtle but powerful happens. Your sense of self stops belonging entirely to you. It becomes shared property. Have you ever noticed how difficult it is to know who you are when everyone else is constantly telling you who you should be? From a very young age, Kylie learned that attention equals value. Cameras followed her before she understood consent. Headlines defined her before she developed emotional armor. And while the world watched her appearance change, very few noticed what was happening internally. Because the most dangerous changes aren't always visible. They happen quietly, in how a person learns to relate to themselves. When approval becomes constant, silence starts to feel like rejection. As she grew older, the pressure didn't ease, it intensified. Social media turned her into a product, and she became both the brand and the employee. Every photo had to perform. Every post had to reinforce an image. The problem with that kind of life is that you never get to turn it off. Even when you're exhausted, even when you're unsure, even when you're hurting. Can you imagine never being allowed to have a bad day without it becoming public commentary? People often say she has everything: money, influence, beauty, power. But emotional wealth doesn't automatically come with financial success. In fact, extreme fame often blocks it. Kylie's life became a cycle of validation and pressure. Praise would come, but it was always conditional. More likes, more attention, more perfection. And when your worth is measured in numbers, your nervous system never rests. One of the least discussed emotional costs of fame is isolation. When everyone wants something from you, trust becomes complicated. Friendships blur into transactions. Compliments feel strategic. Even love can feel uncertain. Is this person here for me, or for access to the world I represent? Living inside that question for years changes how you connect to people. It teaches caution instead of openness, distance instead of vulnerability. Kylie rarely speaks openly about this, but her actions reveal it. Retreats from social media, periods of silence, a visible pullback from constant exposure. These aren't random choices, they're survival mechanisms. Because when your entire identity is consumed by public demand, reclaiming privacy becomes an act of self-defense. Have you ever felt the need to disappear just to hear your own thoughts again? Then there's the pressure of comparison, especially within the famous family. When success is constantly measured side by side, individuality struggles to breathe. Every achievement is ranked. Every choice is contrasted. And even when you win, it can feel hollow if the victory doesn't feel fully yours. Imagine trying to define yourself when the world already decided your role. Motherhood changed something fundamental for Kylie, not in a glamorous way, but in a grounding one. Becoming responsible for another life shifted her priorities inward. For the first time, her attention wasn't being pulled entirely outward. And that shift exposed something important. Fame doesn't protect you emotionally. Presence does. And being needed in a real, private way is different from being desired by millions. Still, the emotional residue of growing up famous doesn't disappear overnight. It lingers in anxiety, in hyper-awareness, in the constant monitoring of how one is perceived. Kylie learned early that perception can be more powerful than truth. And living inside that reality means you're always performing, even when you're alone. Especially when you're alone. If this kind of deep dive into the emotional side of fame resonates with you, take a moment to subscribe to the channel and leave a comment about what part of this story surprised you most. Your engagement helps keep these conversations going, and it tells us you want more content that goes beyond the surface. Another hidden cost is the loss of normal milestones. Making mistakes privately, learning slowly, failing without consequences. Kylie didn't get those luxuries. Every misstep became a headline. Every change became a debate. And over time, that conditions a person to fear authenticity. Because authenticity can be punished when millions are watching. There's also grief for the life that never happened. The anonymous version of yourself you'll never meet. The freedom to walk into a room without expectations. The simplicity of being unknown. People rarely talk about that grief because it sounds ungrateful, but it's real, and ignoring it doesn't make it disappear. Kylie's recent shifts in style, silence, and presence suggest something deeper than rebranding. They suggest fatigue, a desire to be experienced rather than observed, to live moments instead of monetizing them, to exist without constantly narrating her life for an audience. That's not weakness. That's emotional intelligence catching up after years of survival mode. So when people ask why she's pulling back, the better question is why it took so long. Because living under constant scrutiny isn't natural. The human nervous system wasn't built for that level of exposure. And eventually, something has to give. Either your public image fractures, or you reclaim your inner world. Kylie Jenner's story isn't just about fame. It's about the psychological cost of being seen too much, too soon, for too long. It's about what happens when identity is shaped externally before it can form internally. And it forces us to reconsider what we really envy when we look at people like her. Would you still want that life if it meant never fully knowing who you are without an audience? Would you trade privacy for power? Validation for peace? These aren't questions with easy answers. But they matter more than ever in a world where visibility is currency. If you've stayed with this story until now, make sure to subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments. What do you think is the real price of fame? And do you believe it's worth paying?